What's going on, everyone? I'm live here with Chase Davis. A lot of people don't know who this young man is. He's very impressive. He's recently just popped up on my radar. He's been selling for a couple of years. He's going to be a speaker at Books and Beyond, and there's going to be a lot that we talk about today. I'm going to ask him some questions, some interview questions. We're going to talk about the sort of changes going on with the used buy box, which is something that's crazy right now. I'm not sure how well in tune you are with how that's unfolding, and then just generally, how to get younger people into book selling, because my audience is definitely older. I'm 31 years old. Most of my audience is older than me. And how old are you, Chase?
19.
You're 19. So I don't know if you know this, Chase, but I used to be a chemistry teacher for 7 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
I started teaching in 2017. So you could have been my student, which is kind of crazy. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah. So I did try to get some of my students into it, and some of my students did actually do it. But anyways, I'm going down a road that doesn't matter that much. So, of course, you're the star of the show here. Welcome, Chase Davis. How's it going? And then just briefly tell us kind of when you got started selling books.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you for having me on. It's a great opportunity and great to finally put my face out there some more, because I'm trying to slowly build up my platform in this space, since I'm one of the few younger people in here. Right. But yeah, I started selling about 2 years ago, and I mean, my second month, I think I did over 10,000 in sales. And
whoa, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, because I've done a lot of other e-com side hustles, but I never really had anything boom as much as Amazon. And it just kind of made me realize how well you can optimize the systems of you do all the upfront work by sending out the inventory. And then if you're about to go on vacation, like I just was traveling around Europe with some friends, then while you're traveling and enjoying life, and that's the goal, just to enjoy life and be close to those who you care about, you can make sales and make some money. So it's one of the best systems that I've ever sort of got into. And I really am really grateful for Amazon systems. I'm glad someone taught me young on.
Yeah. We got Junkman in the house saying, hey, we got Scott, who's going to be at Books and Beyond, saying I am old. But if I do my math right, you're 19 years old. You started 2 years ago. You were 17. So you must have been a junior in high school. So talk to me about how that even happened in terms of what was it on Instagram? Was it TikTok? Was it YouTube? Like, who was the first person that got you into books?
Yeah, definitely. So I was doing a lot of online marketing at the time before, and I met this one guy at my gym who was in a similar line of business as me, but he did Amazon as his main source of income. And the more and more I talked to him on the treadmill, I was just like, I got to come see this. So I got together with him, and I went to go kind of take a look at his operations, what he has going on. And when he first told me he was selling books, I was like, okay, what is it, like $1.02 profit per each book? And then he started showing me all the breakdowns of like the numbers and how the system and how the business works. And I was like, wow, this really blew my mind. So I worked with him for about 2 months before I started doing my own, got to learn the ins and outs, provided him a lot of labor. So it was a mutual trade. And I was going to college actually, I was 17 at the time, but I have a late birthday. So I was in my senior year of high school, and I was going to college in about a month or two after I was done working with him. And I realized that I only have a little bit of time left. So what I did was I just went out, got as many books as I possibly could from Goodwill, Little Free Libraries, anything and everything I could think of, library sales. I was going and getting those books. And I think me and Avery filmed a video a couple of days ago, but I talked more about it. And in 18 days, right before college, I was leaving for college on the 20th day, but in 18 days, so 2 days before leaving for college, I hit my goal of sending out $118,000 worth of inventory to Amazon. So that was a pretty cool like first number to hit, and pretty cool realizing, okay, I put my effort in now, and then when college comes, I gotta focus on that, because that's the priority. And yeah, I was freshman year in college. I was just making sales throughout my classes, throughout the beach. And then I had a lot of people who I became friends with down here, because I go to the College of Charleston in South Carolina.
Okay.
A lot of my friends I was showing them my sales. I was kind of like, look how cool this is, guys. You guys can get into it. And then I slowly got more people into it. And now I have my own mentorship with people I would know personally and only work with personally. to where I teach them how to do it, and I don't charge them a thing. I allow them to come to my warehouse, use my operations, have some type of mutual exchange, and then I take a percent on the back end. But I've been able to really grow Amazon in the sense of a education and in the sense of my own business. So it's been a long road of Amazon, but it's the best business model by far.
Yeah, you said you worked under someone. I don't think many people these days, I mean, there's definitely going to be people like you who do it, but I would say, again, having taught high school chemistry for 7 years, the majority of my students, I don't think were willing to trade their labor and work under somebody in order to learn the ins and outs, and then understand that even though they are sort of giving up their time and maybe working for free, that on the back end, they're going to actually grow so much more from that. So tell me a little bit about, where did that come from? Is that just something that was innate to you, or is that something that your parents instilled in you? Because that's just, I think, a rare trait and evident in a lot of very successful people when they start out like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Just off that, the first thing that comes into my head was, I guess I'm still super young, but when I was younger, I was pretty overweight, and I just got into lifting and getting into the gym, and I realized that the slow progress will lead to a better return. I'm not saying that correctly, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
The sacrifice up front will lead to the reward on the back end. So right. That's sort of that same motto I learned in the gym, I realize applies to a lot of business. So, I mean, I was also in the position where I didn't know what type of business model I wanted to do. My social media marketing wasn't going too good. So I was like, shoot, I got nothing to lose. I'm young. I'm not going to have another opportunity to have as much time or freedom later on in my life. So let me start now. And I think I'm pretty sure I was on the way to the gym and I saw an Instagram reel that mentioned that. And then just from there, it kind of spiraled me down the path of, I'm young now, let me use that to my advantage. But yeah, I mean, it's rare to find other people like that. But I think social media just has such a big impact, seeing other kids my age who have been successful, and then also seeing a lot of older people who do a similar model to where I want to take mine. But you started when you were teaching chemistry. How did you get into it? I don't know if I've ever heard that story.
I appreciate it. Normally people don't ask me questions about it. So I actually started as a college student as well. Actually, my senior year. So I would have been 22. So I started actually a few years after you. So you're already a mile ahead of me. And I just realized when I was on college campuses that students would literally just have their textbooks and, just let them sit in the closet, or they would donate them or sell them back to the campus bookstore. And so all I basically did was hustle. So there's a couple of Facebook exchange groups on my college campus. I would literally just refresh that like every 10 minutes. And anytime someone was willing to sell, a textbook on 20, 30 cents on the dollar, I was like, I'm your guy. I'll be right there. I'll pick it up. Here's cash. And essentially I was able to cash flow college that way and graduate without any debt with, bachelor's and also a master's degree. And then the point of this going to school was to become a teacher. And I did become a teacher.
Awesome.
Taught high school chemistry for about 7 years. And during that whole time on the side, I was doing online book arbitrage now. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with that, but you'll definitely learn a little bit more about that in Books and Beyond, which is a lot of fun. But essentially my wife and I at the age of 22 said by the age of 35, we want to become financially independent, which means that we wanted to start making money, live well below our means, invest a lot of it in essentially the S&P 500, and just let, 10, 15 years of compound interest do its thing, where we get to a nest egg where it's like, what you would make on a yearly basis, kind of like what you're saying about, the work in the beginning is not going to really show or produce much results, but as time goes on and you grow a bigger and bigger nest egg, 8% of like $1.5 million is quite a bit of money. Whereas 8% of, let's say, maybe the first 10,000 you save is really not that much money. So
yeah,
long story short, we became financially independent at the age of 30, which means technically we no longer need to work. And it's not like we have some crazy lifestyle and we drive Lamborghinis. It's kind of like we live well below our means. We have a large nest egg. And so now, I'm on YouTube trying to teach other people how to do it and how to become financially independent. I think you're probably well on your way, really, at such an early age, which is incredible. And so thanks for asking that question.
I'm trying to get there. I don't know how much of a story Avery told you, but within, I think it was my 8th month, I got a Section 3 on my account, and it just shocked me. I didn't realize that was possible, because I started moving into products. Because once I got to college, I mean, books, you need a lot of space. So I was running it out. I was doing it on Amazon on my dorm room.
Okay.
So similar to you, I started trying to just take advantage of everything I possibly could because I knew as I was in college, I need to focus on school, and I can't bring in a million books to my dorm room. There's not enough space. It's going to be a
Right.
mess, etc. So I started realizing, let me get into some wholesale and getting into products.
Gotcha.
This one supplier I ordered from, this is before I realized that Amazon doesn't always approve certain suppliers, and I
Gotcha.
didn't know that at the time. So that was part of the learning curve. But
Yep.
one of the products I got a Section 3 on, and I unfortunately wasn't able to work through that on that account.
Oh,
However, I then learned there's multiple ways you can get back onto Amazon. So
gotcha.
I started using some of those loopholes, and it allowed me to just absolutely flourish and get back into what makes me money and what I learned to be the best. And this is my personal belief. I know a lot of people do OA or wholesale,
Yep.
but I think books are the simplest logistics and the most profitable if done correctly.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, a little bit of a pivot there, and I had a scare for a little bit because I didn't know what to do. I fell back into my old social media marketing business, and I thought to myself, I've spent a year in this business and I was successful. I got to figure it out. And I was luckily and fortunate enough to have some other close people around me who do Amazon who encouraged me to figure out it, and I got through it. So
Well done. I mean, Victor, you'll meet Victor Gallegos as well. He's also one of the co-organizers of Books and Beyond, and we work together. We have a software company called BookMind for online book arbitrage. But
awesome.
both of us stay in books because of the profitability, the
Yeah.
margins, the logistics are just so much easier, right? The fact that when you sell a used book and it gets returned, it's a used book. I mean, there's just so many things about books that are amazing.
100%.
And yeah, we got some comments here. Spaniard says, once you get a solid replay inventory, the sky is the limit, especially with online book arbitrage. It'd be interesting to see how that extends you because you would classify yourself as a bulk bookseller. Is that correct?
Yes, I
Yeah.
order in bulk, and then, well, yeah, I have my team sort through them, and then from there we have different qualifications for everything. But yeah, definitely ordering in bulk is what I've found to be the best. But definitely, I keep hearing about online arbitrage with books. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna be learning a lot more about that in Vegas.
Yeah. And the cool thing at Books and Beyond, by the way, if anyone's just tuning in, Books and Beyond, it's going down Las Vegas, October 10th through 12th. We're here at Chase Davis, 19-year-old kid who's just killing it, selling books on Amazon, which is very rare because generally you don't see younger people selling books on Amazon. But that's Books and Beyond going down October 10th through 12th. Chase is going to be a speaker. So just want to let people know if they're tuning in. But we have somebody asking, have you guys seen slow sales in the last 5 days? So let me ask you this. I mean, obviously you were around because in the last 2 years you've been selling books, but back in March of this year, there was this whole buy box fiasco. And I'm not sure how in tune you are with the Facebook groups, but essentially what had happened is the buy box kind of went away from always being favored to an FBA seller and went to FBM sellers being favored. And a lot of people who do FBA as their primary model were like, what the heck? They're used to this juicy prime bump. And now all of a sudden it goes away overnight. And that lasted for about, I think, 5 or 6 weeks. And people were just like, the sky is falling. This is it. So what was your reaction to that, if anything at all?
I didn't know about that at all until you just said it. I saw slower sales throughout the beginning of the year, but I was just assuming that was the transition into 2025. Amazon was changing a few things around. I didn't really focus too much on the back end as
okay.
I don't even know what I was doing back then. I think I might have been.
This would have been March of
2025.
Yeah.
I might have been traveling or I might have been in school. I don't know what I was doing back in March, but no, I didn't know about that at all. So Amazon gave up the buy box from FBA sellers to FBM. They favored them more.
Yeah. So right now, the way it works is on most listings, if there is an FBA offer and the price differential is not astronomically high, normally the buy box is going to go to the FBA seller. So I guess the more important question is, in your bulk business, what is your ratio of FBA versus FBM? Are you mainly fulfilling yourself? Or are you mainly doing FBA, or is it an even mix?
So because of my unique situation of being in college and maintaining my own Amazon while also providing the education aspect to others, I only do FBA just as it makes it super simple for me. I know FBM has a lot more profitability with certain listings, but when I'm ordering in bulk, my main objective is to get as many books in and then get as many books out. and just
Right.
keep that inventory flowing. And because our supplier is so sound, we're able to just the inventory we order is more expensive than most bulk
Gotcha.
orders, but the quality is so it's almost not perfect, but it's very ideal for selling books on Amazon. So it works out very well for us. But no, I know people do FBM, but the organization always seemed to throw me off. I've
Yep.
watched, I think it was John, he broke down his
Yep.
warehouse back when he did books, and I was watching those videos recently. And the FBM side just seems like a lot of day to day, a lot of keep up, which if you have the right systems, definitely great. Do
Yep.
you do mostly FBA or
Yeah.
FBM?
No, I do all FBA.
Okay,
So
yeah.
what I do is I specifically buy books on Amazon and then resell them back on Amazon. So the whole purpose is that most people who are booksellers, I don't think quite understand like the best way to price their inventory or price their books. A lot of people kind of just use repricers to compete with the lowest price offer and kind of ignore historical data, ignore seasonal trends. Like some easy examples are like, a lot of people will look at a Christmas book, for example, which if you use common sense, you're like, oh, a Christmas book probably sells more often and for more money during Christmas. But a lot of people, if they're at a thrift store, might scan and go, oh, it's right now, $3 on Amazon. I'm not going to make any profit. I'll put it away, right? But even if somebody does buy that book and sends it in, they might try to price it with the lowest offer, not realizing that, hey, we're in September. In a couple of months, this book may spike if you go look at a keeper graph. So
Yeah.
with online book arbitrage, all we're doing is essentially cherry picking from bulk sellers like yourself. So it's very possible that I've purchased books from your storefront, and that's just again because the goal is like we're trying to pick quality. So it's like you're kind of like a Victor put it to me this way the other day. My business partner again is like the bulk booksellers are like the farmers, right? You guys are farming all of the produce for everyone. We're coming in. We're like Whole Foods. We're like, I'm going to pick that one because that one that's an amazing tomato. It looks right. So I'm going to hand select that one. I'm going to sell it for a premium price, kind of a thing like that. So
Definitely.
kind of transitioning back to the buy box fiasco, and then why it's also pertinent to today is that back in March, again, the status quo is that FBA was favored in the buy box, and then all of a sudden that kind of just overnight switched to now all of a sudden the lowest price, which is generally an FBM seller, is now winning the buy box. So tons of people started again screaming the sky is falling.
Wow.
6 weeks after that started, it went back to the status quo, which is FBA being favored, there being a prime bump. And then now just recently in the last 4 or 5 days, which is the reason why, this person asked the question, has sales been slow for you, is that it's kind of switched back to this where now FBM is kind of being favored again. But there's also a lot of testing going on because we're seeing multiple buy boxes. So 2 used buy boxes, 3 used buy boxes, FBA, FBM, 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 FBA, FBA, just a bunch of different variations of, what customers would see on their end. So
why do you believe Amazon's doing that? Do you think they're trying to optimize their like customer satisfaction or?
So, I mean, I will say that I do not know for certain. And this is just my opinion based upon what I'm seeing. So right now, Amazon is in a lawsuit with the Federal Trade Commission for essentially, monopolistic practices. And so if you kind of read, and again, I'm not a lawyer, and none of this, what I'm saying is, who knows if it's true or not. I'm just saying based upon an average guy who's looking at what's out there, this is what I personally believe, right? And that's so Amazon is in a lawsuit about these kind of practices, being unfair to both sellers and also consumers. And so what I think Amazon is doing is essentially trying to argue that the status quo is the best way. Because if you think about it, Chase, right? You can go to a listing right now and oftentimes you have multiple options. You can buy a book that's quite cheap from an FBN seller, or you can sometimes pay 30, 50, 100% more to get that book shipped to you in 2 days and pay a premium for it, right? And so I think what Amazon's trying to argue is like, hey, in us giving FBA sellers the buy box and favoring those sellers over FBM sellers, even though that is kind of unfair, it's better for the customer. And even though the customer is paying more money for the item, they're getting it shipped to them faster. That makes them happier.
Yeah.
And so if I were the person on Amazon's end who's getting sued, I'd be like, okay, well, let's collect data and show how when we reverse this and show that now we will give it to the cheapest offer, how that unfairly favors FBM sellers over FBA sellers. And then let's also show how that doesn't make customers more happy. So again, this is just all my personal opinion theory. I'm just saying that's the reason why I think there's all this testing is I think it's just a bunch of data collection on Amazon's end. And again, there's a lot of people who completely do not agree with me in the Facebook groups. They think that the API is just incorrect, that there's a glitch. I just think based upon what's in front of us, that's extremely unlikely. But Yeah.
No, that's making perfect sense. I mean, I would 100% see why Amazon would want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I've seen a little bit about that, but I mean, I never went into the details like you just did. So
Yeah.
interesting.
We got a lot of other comments here. Junkman says that Chase should start a prep center.
I mean, it's definitely something I know makes a lot of money when done correctly.
Yep.
I used a prep center out in Montana, and I got really close with the guy I worked with for a few months, and he was just breaking down the numbers for me. We got really personal, and I know they help a lot of people, and they provide so many services for individuals
Yep.
with taking on such a little risk. So definitely a good line of business to be in.
Yeah, Frank from Little Owl Prep, he's based out of Ohio. He mainly does prep for a bunch of OA sellers, but also a lot of online book arbitrage sellers. So again, we buy the book on Amazon. I don't ship it to my house. I ship it to a prep center, and the
Yeah.
prep center then ships it to Amazon, which is again why this whole process being automated makes it, you know, really so lucrative and great. But yeah, Frank is going to be there. He's actually a sponsor of Books and Beyond. So you're going to meet him. I would definitely talk to him, ask about, ask him to share and see how much he's willing to share, because I can already tell just from speaking with you for about 20 minutes that you got a business mindset, and you already showed that you could pivot when you did get the Section 3 in the beginning, and you're still able to sell. Most people would just shut down and kind of go away and try to figure out something else. But just as some ideas for you, as well as a prep center is potentially a route, again, a lot of logistics, probably not very easy, but something that can make a lot of money. And then also the education route, like you mentioned, I'm sure, especially if you're kind of helping people for free right now, in exchange for some value, like this is something that if you're a good educator, you could totally teach people how to do. It's another way to make money as well. So there's a bunch of opportunities that come from just understanding how to sell on Amazon as well, which is my point to you. I'm not sure why I'm giving you advice, because you don't really need it, but
No, it's great advice. I mean, you are 10 times more experienced than I am when it comes to this. So I'm all ears right now. I'm listening to every little word. It's extremely helpful.
We got a Spaniard saying IFBM only highly collectible books. I don't like sending them into Amazon. Is there anything that you won't FBA, or you just 100% FBA?
I fully do FBA, but I do know what he's trying to say, because I have sent some of the shipments I've sent where I have had books. My most expensive book was valued at around 5,000, and surprisingly, that was one of the few shipments that went missing or didn't arrive. So
Wow.
I don't know if there's a connection there, but I mean, I understand people's sort of skepticism towards what's going on once it gets to a fulfillment center, which I did not get reimbursed for that book.
Yeah.
Too, so.
Oh, that's such a bummer. I know. And it's like, what are the odds of that, right? It makes you think that there's some conspiracies going on behind the scenes, but wow, that's a bummer. And that was just in a Gaylord, that book?
Yeah, it was just in a Gaylord. The supplier we get, from my understanding, they're coming directly from right before the type of books that would go onto like a Goodwill shelf. They get intercepted from there and from other types of donation and collection places. I think Salvation Army's one of the places where they come from. I'm not 100% sure my supplier manages all that, but he's my middleman. He connects me, and I place the orders through him, and all reliable, all really good quality. Obviously, about 40 to 50% might not fit my criteria, but criteria change all the time, as you know. I mean, the book could be selling for $50, and then price drops to 20 or whatever. Who knows? Like it changes all the time, but we're able to get good averages, and it's a lot of, how do I put it? There's a lot of, I don't want to say like scammers isn't the right word. There's a lot of untrustworthy people who try to take advantage of people who are just getting into the bulk. And my one recommendation to that is, because I've come across so many, is just, if you are able to meet with them in person. My current supplier he lives in North Carolina. I'm in South Carolina. So we went out to dinner, asked him any and every question I had, and everything checked out. But also going through another personal connection of a friend, I think is just the best way. And if you can't get a question answered, even if it's a small question, no matter how big or how small, I think that could be a potential red flag, just because you have to send payment before the shipment. And I mean, someone could just disappear. So
yeah. So the product cannot be delivered, but then also beyond that, it's like you want to make sure the inventory is quality, right? Because you also want to make sure someone isn't just selling you duds, in which
Yeah.
case you can't really do anything with it. So
Yeah.
I would agree, definitely. If I were to go that route, I definitely would want to meet with the person, ask some questions, get a feel for them. So I'm glad that that worked out for you.
Yeah. Very
And
fortunate for that.
we got some other questions. College textbooks or high school ones, any recommendations? Which publishers might be easiest to get ungated? I'm having a tough time at the moment. So, yeah, let's talk about your journey with getting ungated. I would assume you got ungated extremely quickly, but I bet in the beginning you weren't ungated in most stuff. But I think just with a lot of volume in the beginning, Amazon's like, whoa, okay, this guy's sending some books to us. They're actually selling. Customers are not unsatisfied more than they are with any other seller. So this guy means business. But what was your experience with the ungating process?
It's now in the very beginning. Yeah, I'll talk about the beginning and to where we have it now. To now, it's like it's what's the word? It's so simple, but in the beginning, it was just rejection after rejection, and I might have 500 books in front of me and only be able to sell 50 to 100.
Yeah.
But I would then set aside, let's say I could sell 100 of the 500 in the beginning. I would set aside the 400 and
Yep.
then go get 500 more. And then I was able to sell 150. And I would keep rinsing and repeating this process. And I would have anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 extra books just sitting around in my garage at back home. And once I was fully ungated because I scanned enough ASINs, I made enough sales and I sent enough inventory and I got positive reviews because the reviews helped a lot. Getting my first 5-star, my sales went up. I started getting ungated on a lot of textbook brands. I got ungated on my, what was it? On National Geographic, I could never get ungated. My first 5-star review, I think it's just a coincidence, but my first 5-star review, I got ungated instantly on that because I was curious. I heard people talk about how important that is. So I went to scan this huge National Geographic book, and it went through, and I was so happy because I had probably 100 to 150 of $50 to $50 to $100+ National Geographic books that I was gated on. But now what we do is, and I think anyone and everyone should do this, is go on to Amazon. It's different because of how we do it because I teach multiple people, so I'm able to have access to a lot of accounts. But if you're able to get anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 different ASINs that are not really connected at all, just kind of randomly scanned in books as if you ordered in bulk, we would print out those ASINs on 2x1s, get a textbook, and then put those sticky notes in the textbook. Go on GoToLister and just spray scan through 1,000 to 2,000 of those, and then we sit there for I think it'd take like 3 to 4 hours in total, and just sit there for the whole time hitting apply, apply, apply. And by the end of doing around 2,000, you've got ungated on so much to the point to where your first few sales, it would be equivalent to opening a brand new account and selling for 2 to 3 months. So we open a brand new account and it's basically fully ungated by a month and a half, just because inventory, I realized for those first accounts take time. It takes longer to process, but yeah, just we would print out a ton of ASINs, put them in a notebook, and then spray scan on using GoTo and apply, apply, apply. And it made the process so much easier. So just upping sales, scanning in as much as you can, and applying to as many book brands as you can.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Again, I come from the online book arbitrage world. And so a lot of people want to get started. They haven't sold books in any other way, such as bulk or thrifting or anything like that. So for me, it essentially aligns with what you said. Apply for anything that you cannot sell to see if you can get approved, because that doesn't cost you anything other than your time, which if you really want this to work, you should have plenty of time to invest towards that. And then also the way that you will become ungated is just by selling more stuff. So ironically, it's like to become ungated and stuff, you have to sell stuff. So you just have to sell the things that you can sell. And over time, you'll be pretty much ungated. So great advice there.
Even if it was $1 profit, if it was selling quick, just send it. Even if you're losing $1, it's worth it because that might help you get ungated to sell those $100+ profit books.
Yeah, and what you said about keeping the books aside that you do have ownership of that are going to be profitable books when you can sell them, setting those aside is also a very smart idea because it is very likely that in the future, if you're serious about this and you stay consistent and you're committed, you will be able to sell those at some point down the line. And so I'm sure as soon as you kind of had the floodgates open, you're like, whoa, let's just send all this stuff in. And that was probably an amazing feeling.
Oh my God, it was amazing, especially right before college too. I really had to, I was waking up super early and I was pumping it as much as I can.
Yeah.
I was dating this one girl at the time, and I barely saw her before college just because I was working so hard. I would only see her once the sun went down. I was I was on a mission.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have Gary here in the chat going, for anyone on the fence about Books and Beyond, he says Vegas weather will be beautiful for Books and Beyond. Go for it. I live here. So see you soon. Appreciate the shout out. And I do kind of want to share my screen here just to show everyone Books and Beyond. This is actually the website, booksandbeyondcon.com, where you guys can grab tickets. This is an actual video from the conference last year, which was actually the first year that we put it on. It was highly successful. We had over 100 people there. And, you know, if you look at it, scroll down, you can see some video testimonies from some people who are speakers, some people who are attendees. You can see we have quite a few sponsors here, including, you know, Little Owl Prep, which is who I was talking to you about, Frank, who owns the Prep Center, but some other major bulk book companies, which I'm sure, Chase, you're very excited to network with.
Yeah.
And again, just, you know, images of how awesome the event was. Gary was there last year. He's coming back, which is really awesome. And yeah, you guys can grab your tickets down below. These are all the speakers. Try to have, you know, a diverse lineup of both men and women selling books. We also have a little bit of eBay to Amazon in there. We got this handsome fellow right here, Chase Davis. So it's going to be an awesome time. If you guys are interested, October 10th through 12th. And so that's my plug for this live stream. It's only 16 days away, Chase.
So I'm super psyched. I'm going to meet a lot of cool people. I think anybody that's going to go is just going to get so much value. I can't see how you walk away without at least one connection. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. We also, so going back to the high school versus college textbooks, yeah, that advice that Chase gave, that I also gave about just sending anything that you can in, is going to help with both high school and college textbooks. So again, it's just more of a volume game. And if you're somebody who's kind of tuning in, you can, if you've listened just for a little bit, you can tell Chase is serious. Like, he's somebody who takes action to a scale and to a degree that most people do not, which is probably also why he's seen so much more success, because at the end of the day, I just feel like there's a lot of people nowadays that aren't really willing to work very hard, but you are, which is awesome. And so I'm excited to kind of meet in person as well.
Yeah, I'm
and
super
talk about it. Yeah.
So to answer his question, college versus high school textbooks, all of them, just send them all. And the way you get ungated is like what you just said. Just scan in and send everything you can, as long as you're. I mean, I've sent stuff in the beginning. If I was losing $1 on it, I would send it in. Anything under $1, I didn't really want to send in just because it was pushing it. But just sending more inventory and getting more sales, you'll get ungated on everything.
Yeah, because it's a great advice. The other way you can think of it is like, would you pay someone $500 to just click a button on your account and get ungated and stuff? You would probably, right? Especially if you're serious in the beginning. So essentially what Chase is saying is like, anything that has a very good sales rank that's very likely to sell, even if it does lose you $1 in the beginning, is really worth it for the long-term gains. It's like going back to what Chase said, like, you have to put in the work up front. You might not see the results, you know, until the long run. But in this case, I think it's totally worth it to even lose some money or even break even, maybe barely make any money for the long term of, okay, I can send stuff in and actually sell books now to make money, if that makes sense.
100%.
We also have Junkman with pretty great advice for you. He said, next time you have a $5,000 book, why don't you put an air tag in it, man? Which is,
I know, I need to. Who knows where that book is? Somebody, one of the workers definitely has their, or Amazon probably had, they probably listed it. That's probably,
they probably listed it. Yeah.
They probably got my profits.
It would be actually a very interesting YouTube video to put a few air tags and a couple of different shipments, and just to see where those books actually end up going. So I think that'd be just a funny or a cool YouTube video. Dash has a really good question. How did you begin bulk grinding and reaching out to various contacts?
It's a great question. My first way of reaching out was through Avery. I wanted to connect with somebody who I knew had experience in this business. So Avery was one of the first people that I've talked to in the past, or even if I didn't, who I knew had some connection. And from there, I learned about David Chang and learned about his success. And I kind of just followed the rabbit hole from there. And I know David Chang has a few people under him that have their own bulk book resell. I don't remember the name of it. I wish I did. But they have their own sources and not sources. They have their own systems in place for other Amazon sellers or eBay sellers who want to, or anyone who wants to sell books. They have their own systems in place. So going through a personal connection or even going into these Facebook groups, going on to Google. You just got to keep reaching out. I've reached out to probably over 100 people, and right now I only use about 2 suppliers. So I talked to maybe 50 plus people. I reached out to hundreds of people, not just 100, hundreds of people, talked to about 50 of them, got barely any replies, and then now I'm working with 2. And there's definitely better suppliers out there, but you just got to keep shooting in the dark because eventually you're going to hit.
Yeah, it's true. It's almost kind of like if you were to go to a library sale or a thrift store, like, out of 100 books you scan, there's probably going to be 3 to 5% that are worth it. It's similar in you trying to find a supplier, right? And I think the thing again is most people will say it's impossible because they'll reach out to 5 people and then say it doesn't work. But you're like, I'm really going to reach out to somebody until they say yes, right?
Yeah,
and again, that takes a lot of work, right? So it's not like, I mean, I do agree with like you create your own luck. Like you probably got lucky with the way with the stores, but again, you got to reach out to 100 different people in order to get it. So it was like, did you really get lucky, or is it like you were just willing to put in the work? It's kind of like, did you get lucky to find a $50 or $100 book, or is it just like you scan thousands of books, kind of a thing? You know what I mean?
One of my favorite quotes is, "You can't miss a lucky day if you show up every day," and I think that's so true. Yeah. I mean, when I was trying to find that bulk supplier, I was overseas. I was actually not overseas. I was in Latin America. I was in Panama, and I was with one of my mentors, and he would get up at 4 a.m. and work, and I couldn't think of anything to do. So I would get up at 4 a.m. with him, and from 4 a.m. to 12 p.m., I was emailing, I was researching, doing anything and everything I could for about a week or 2 straight until I found one. And I found one, and I might have got lucky, but you create your own luck, and you can't miss a lucky day if you try every day. So
it's exactly true. Consistency is really the number one thing. And this is what causes trees to grow big. It's like when a tree grows big, it's because it's been there for 20 years, 30 years. It's been soaking up nutrients from its environment. It's been, willing to stand tall there. And 20 or 30 years later, you started with a sapling. Now it's a massive tree. It's like it showed up, it's not like it had to do anything, but it showed up every day, was able to extract, nutrients from the environment and grow. So, 100%. You really are impressive.
Thank you.
I would definitely say,
I feel like I'm not doing enough.
No, you definitely are. When you compare it to most people, you're like 10xing easily, I would say. Which is really exciting for anyone who goes to Books Beyond, especially if you are a younger person. I would definitely want to network with Chase.
Yeah, definitely come. If you come, we'll get into the nitty gritty. We'll go into more details. I know we only have so much time now, so I can't even get into it. But there's a whole nother side of this business that just really blows your mind when you are talking to people in person.
Yeah. I know that you do. So, I mean, you told us you do mainly FBA, and capacity limits, I'm assuming, must have been an issue at some point. So have you essentially requested more storage space? Like, how is the, space that was available to you? Like, what has that journey been like?
So that's very interesting you say that. So going back to when you were saying I was very business minded, I did hit those capacity limits. So I realized I can't send any more at the moment. So I had a few strategies before I have what I have now. But at the time, I would liquidate a lot of my inventory. So I'd undercut prices by $5, $10 just so I could make, even if I was making $20, I'd be okay with making $10. Yeah. So I'd undercut my prices to have the quantity over quality, or not quantity over quality, or just have more quantity going out. And even then I was still hitting limits because I have too many. So I realized because I have an education aspect to what I do, and it'd be the people I work with are in person, a way I'm able to then send out more inventory and make more money in the sense of like a business mind is I would maximize my account. And once I had my systems running, I have all these people who I'm teaching who need books. So a way I like to always keep in mind, because the people I work with are other college students who don't have a lot of money to invest into a new business, I would take a little bit more equity and provide them the inventory. So now they're getting free books, and I'm basically expanding over 50 plus accounts, and capacity limits don't even become an issue anymore. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, this business model I have now, I didn't even think of until like the past 2 months, but it really, there's no limitations. You just gotta be careful about what we send out. I gotta teach people, so there's time commitments, but yeah, I mean, equity is a powerful thing in the sense of business. What I've learned, I have.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. And so you have over 50 other accounts, and it's not like these are accounts that you're necessarily connected with. You're just supplying the books to those people. And so how does that work? You make a percentage of the sale. I know you said equity, which makes me think that you own a percentage of their business, but what is the
Exactly.
way that you actually make money from giving them or supplying them the books? Because you have to pay for the books, right? I mean, that's a cost for you.
100%. So there's multiple ways to go about it. So I have different types of contracts and agreements, which I've been working on for 6 to 9 months. It's always getting more refined, but it's a mutual agreement to where people who want to keep more equity, what I'll do is they'll just buy them up front from me.
Okay.
I'll figure out whatever my break even cost is and then add a little bit on top so that they're still able to get good prices because I'm still taking a percent on the back end for the education aspect.
Gotcha.
As it's like a consulting,
Right.
consulting fee. And then for people who don't want to invest more upfront, I'll just take a little bit more of a percent. I'll take a little bit more of a percent. So that way I'm providing their inventory. They're getting it for free. But when that book sells for $10, I'm getting if that book sells for $20, they make $10. I'm getting a percent of the $10. And that's part of the reason why I only work with people in person, because obviously if I don't really know somebody, they could just disappear.
Yeah.
But I have lawyers, I got people in place. So it's a really tight group of guys who have all been very successful, and it's just growing more and more in every day. And I meet with them at the end of the month. We get together, we hop on a quick little call. I see what their sales have been, how much money they made, whatever the percent split is. We figure that out and I invoice them. So it's a little bit of work. I'm trying to figure out how I can systemize, but it's very profitable.
Oh, it definitely is. It's kind of like going back to like the gold rush, the people who make a lot of the money, the ones that are supplying the shovels, right? The tools used to dig the gold out of the ground. And certainly it's a way to get around capacity limits, also a way to get around just a single account. And again, you're not violating any terms of service. All you're doing is basically saying, hey, I'll supply you with books, which is really an amazing offer, especially if somebody has no means to, buy into the inventory themselves. And it really doesn't cost very much to get a Amazon account set up. So if you're supplying the inventory, it's literally like a grand.
I'm doing the hard lifting for them. I got the supplier connections. I got the location. I got the systems. We just have to figure out that percentage. And once we have an agreement, it just comes down to if they want to make $1 million, they can make $1 million. If they want to make $5, they can make $5.
Yeah.
Just down to their effort at that point. And I don't take much. I take a little bit more risk, but I'm very selective with who I work with, which just refines the team some more. So yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. I mean, you're growing a business and you're getting to help a lot of people at the same time. And I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to learn from somebody. So I didn't have to pay for that. It was a mutual exchange. So I figured out, well, I was given that. How can I give that to others? And now that's what I have. And now I'm trying to figure out a way I can keep something similar and expand that to anybody and everybody who's interested, who reaches out to me. But it's figuring it out day by day.
Yeah. I mean, essentially you have two businesses, right? Which is supplying people, helping them out in the education space, and then your own account, which is still doing quite well. You're selling a lot of books. And I'm assuming having so many more books that you now have to kind of spiderweb out to people, that gives you more purchasing power and makes, the actual supplier go like, okay, wow, this guy actually does need a lot of books because they aren't ultimately just for you.
Yep. I get wined and dined. So
yeah, absolutely.
It goes great. They love me. I love them. So it's a good mutual exchange I have going on with my suppliers.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Really just incredible. And, if you're somebody who's coming to Books and Beyond, somebody who wants to get into bulk, I would definitely talk to him, because he just said he only works with people he knows that he can talk to face to face. And it still might be a little bit difficult because, again, all these people you live in South Carolina, right? So all these people live in that localized area. But really just an awesome, two different businesses that you have going on. So the one thing with sorry, go for it.
Yeah. And I can those people who I meet in Vegas, if they seem amazing and they want to get into the bulk, but they haven't figured out a solid supplier, I can broker my supplier connections to them. And then now just kind of continuing the chain of supplier connection to supplier connection. And now they have a bulk supplier who they know they can trust because I'm ordering from them. So clearly they're 10 out of 10 and they're going to get a good deal there too.
Yeah, and you could also show proof that not only is your account successful, but all these other people who are working under you technically, right? Or people that
Yep.
you're supplying, those people are also successful. And this
For
is what I'm talking about. Connections like you literally going to Books and Beyond and just getting a connection with Chase could more than pay for your entire ticket, right? So there's again a lot of value in networking and connecting, which is great. So going back to the capacity limits, I was curious. Did you know that you can actually request more space and bid on more space? Were you aware of that?
I am, but to where I am currently, I seem to I need to learn that because I'm so focused on growing the education aspect right
Yeah,
now. I have taken time away from my own store, which has slowed my sales down.
yeah,
So it's especially being in college, I'm trying to balance classes and I'm in a relationship too. So I'm trying to balance like
yeah.
four different things, which gets a little difficult. But yeah, I definitely need to I need to. I actually I don't know how to buy more space. That's something I keep getting told for the past like 3 weeks. I've heard that probably 10+ times, and I just have yet to look into it. So that's something I need
Yeah.
to look into.
Well, I mean, certainly by no means is it a failure on your part, or are you feeling you're highly successful? Again, you do have essentially two separate businesses, like brokering out books to people and then also selling books in your own account. And you could probably think about which one has more potential to make you more money. It's probably brokering out books to other people and working with people in the education space. But yeah, essentially capacity limits, very easy to essentially bid for more space. And essentially you get something called performance credit.
Mhm.
So you get essentially 15% of the additional revenue you generate from that extra space as a performance credit to offset the extra storage space that you paid for. So as long as you have a decent sell-through rate and you have a decent average selling price and you're doing actually using the space that that you receive from bidding on, it's essentially free. So it's essentially Amazon's way to just kind of put up another barrier where it's like, okay, you hit these limits, but then if you're willing to kind of learn a little bit more about how the system works and actually learn how the bidding system works and then also utilize the additional space, like for me, I always have to request additional space and it's always ends up being free because
Yeah,
again, I use the space, I get the performance credits and offset. So again, that's something you could look into. But
I'll be looking into that tonight. I didn't
yeah,
realize it was that simple. Like in my
yeah,
head, I think of it as like so complex, but I guess it's actually pretty simple.
yeah, it's actually quite so. I actually even have a YouTube video on my channel about storage capacity limits. So you could probably watch that if you're interested. But it's really it should take you to understand how it works probably less than 10 minutes. So it's
Awesome.
also really important for you to learn it more so to help other people who are going to use your service rather than yourself, if that
Yep.
makes sense. So this
100%.
is what I mean. Networking like this, me even just telling you that little thing can really just make everyone else who's underneath you so much better because now you can teach them how to do that and realize it's really not that difficult. It's pretty simple. And we have
100%.
Dash with a very interesting question. Chase, are you going to be at Books and Beyond?
I will 100% be there, and I'll be excited to see you. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the guy on the screen right now and the guy up here on the speaker list, I'm pretty sure those are the same guys. So yeah, Chase will be there. He's going to be a speaker at the event, which is awesome because again, he has a lot of wisdom to share, even though he's only 19 years old. Like I said, when I was 19, I was a freshman in college. I was playing League of Legends. I was, going to, I was definitely not as fine tuned as you. So I think it's really awesome that at such a
Yeah.
young age, you're really killing it. You got a great business mindset. And again, you'll be able to meet, so David Chung. So you'll be able to meet David Chung, Bill Marlink, Caleb
Awesome.
Roth, a lot of those guys very good at systems and also guys that have been in software as well. So I think getting into software might be something that's interesting to you as
Yeah.
well, especially
Definitely.
how it relates to already how you're brokering out deals to people. So like I said, Frank from Wow, very good at systems as well. So this is going to be a lot of value for you as a speaker. But again, anyone that's going, like, there's a lot of value just meeting Chase, which is kind of insane, kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm super
So
excited for him. I'm excited to see who I meet and all the new people who new and experienced. It's just gonna be a great time. If you go, you're walking away with 100x down the line, no matter what.
exactly.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about college. So what are you studying? Are you even managing to keep up with the grades? Because I mean, there's one thing to say about schooling, because again, I was a high school teacher, right? It's like just because you do well in school doesn't necessarily mean you do well in life financially with your job and vice versa. Just because you do poorly in school doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do great things. So I'm curious, where is your mind with, taking classes and performing well in them and balancing that with having a business that anyone who's 30 or 40 or even 50 years old would be proud to have?
Yeah. So it comes to the breakdown of if I start slipping up in school, my father is gonna come down here and strangle me. So yeah, I need to make sure my grades are on point,
Okay.
and school's the priority for me. I have my
Okay.
schedule set up so Mondays through Wednesdays is primarily just school, and then
Yep.
that allows me Thursday through the weekend to focus on business. So I'm able to maintain school. My schedule's pretty structured very well. And
Yep.
yeah, school's 100% the priority. I've already committed a year and a half to school. My freshman year when I got here, I wanted to drop out truthfully, and I didn't see the value. But after being here for over a year and just all the new stuff, all the new people I've met, there's so much value for being in the position I'm in right now, and I don't
Yep.
want to give that away, and I don't want to let that go. So being able to balance all of it, it's a lot, and it's can be hard at times, especially as we're in midterms right now. So studying, making
Yep.
sure everything's on point. It takes away a little bit from business, but it's a push and pull. So it works. It works out. It's stressful, but it's enjoyable. I mean, if I wasn't using my free time for business, I would probably be doing something else active. So I'm glad
Yep.
I can use it productively.
Yeah. And let's talk. So, I mean, did you have to take out loans, student loans to go to school? I'm assuming you're probably just cash flowing it, but what is the the finances behind that look like? Paying
Yeah.
for school.
So I did very well in high school, and it's kind of that same goal mindset of going back to when I was younger, just like focusing on the gym, seeing that you put in the work up front, there's a return on
Right.
the back end. I kept that same mindset throughout high school, and I keep it throughout college now. But I did well. I'm on a really nice scholarship here, so
Nice.
my expenses for school itself is very little. And truthfully, I'm average compared to everybody else. There's nothing special about me. I would just say I have a superpower for just getting the right tasks done, and then procrastinating the tasks I should be getting done as well. So it's a push and pull, and I'm good at some things and I'm bad at others. But I was grateful enough to get a scholarship to go here, so I'm able to just I have to maintain that. That's another what's the word I'm looking for? That's another driver behind it. Is if my grades slip up, then
Yep.
I'm going to lose my scholarship, which is now going to all the money I'm making for my business. I'm not going to be able to make as much. I'm not going to be able to reach those goals as
Yep.
early on as I want to in my life. So
Yep. I mean,
just
certainly you have a lot to balance and a lot to juggle, but I mean, you really truly are crushing it. Most people in college are honestly not even focused on college. They're probably more focused on partying and
yeah,
making friends and things like that. And again, not. I mean, you're 19 years old. You're
yeah,
really young. People who are kind of tuning in now. I was a high school chemistry teacher for 7 years. I literally could have been Chase's chemistry teacher, which is insane
that's crazy.
when you think about it, right? And I will tell you, from having seven classes of students there, you definitely would have fit into like that top, 2-3% of kids that like were really go getters. I'm like, all right, this I can tell from just from talking with someone if they're really willing to put in the work, if they're willing to persevere, if they don't let challenges kind of prevent them from moving forward. So I
Yeah.
already know that you're gonna crush it, dude. So
Well,
man,
thank
just
you.
just just keep going. I do really also appreciate how humble you are, and you realize that even though you do have to put a lot of work in, that staying humble is probably a very important part of the process. So
Yeah.
yeah,
The,
all I
the
can
only
say, yeah, go for it.
the only thing I'm better at, I would say, is just time management. Most people just don't have time management skills. I
Yep.
think that's the one of the number one skills you can learn. I
Yep.
got to learn it early on just from how my parents are,
Yep.
and I was grateful for that. But yeah, time management. If you can use every minute of the day productively, those minutes compound into days and weeks and months, and then it becomes years. I've been at it for 5 years, and only recently I've had success. So really grateful for that. But
Yep. And again, you're only 19 years old. So to even say that I've just had barely, I'm just barely having success at 19. Again, most people aren't even thinking about working until after they graduate from college, which is, 22. But some people might even be 23, 24, depending if they had, got their things together after high school. So ultimately, man, this has really been a pleasure. It was awesome to interview you. And again, I put a link down there in the comments if you do want to buy a ticket to Books and Beyond, especially if you're somebody who wants to network with Chase, you want to get into the bulk book game, you're trying to find a bulk supplier. I would say that starting with Chase is probably your best shot in the beginning. And Yeah, man. Just thanks for coming on. I really look forward to meeting you in person. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You'll be at both after parties, so that's where a lot of the magic happens as well. Where you get to sit down and talk to people on a more one-on-one. And what was interesting about this interview as well is that I didn't know a tremendous amount about you. I may have learned a little bit from having watched a couple of videos, but I already can tell that this is gonna be awesome. Yeah, as a
Yeah.
networking opportunity.
The only thing I wish I could change was maybe boost my age about 2 years so I can go gamble in the casinos a little bit. But
Oh, okay.
I got
I
to wait
mean,
a little longer.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You do. I know you can't even drink, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy to think. Yeah.
That's another thing. I don't take any substances. I know it's like you're not supposed to at this age, but a lot of people my age do.
Yep, I'd agree.
I'm a firm believer in working through your 20s so that you can enjoy your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, etc. for the rest of your life. Even though
Yep.
like these are the prime years to have fun because you're young. I I think most people just need to, regardless where you are in life, is like figure out what you want to be doing in 5 to 10 years, figure that plan
Yep.
out, and then backtrack from there, see how you can get there. So
I don't think I could have ended this on a better note than that, Chase. So again, Books and Beyond. If you guys want to go, grab your tickets. Las Vegas, Nevada, October 10th through 12th. And thanks for coming on, Chase. Really appreciate it.
awesome. It was great meeting you. I'm super glad I got to talk to you.
All right, sounds good, guys.